series. Today, we are going to talk about a very important issue in our legal system today, which is the Uniform Civil Code. Which religion is assigned to a child at birth? What if the child is like Moses, who is born to a Jewish mother, raised in an Egyptian household due to certain circumstances? And what if the child wants to return to its original roots? What if Moses wants to come back to its Jewish mother, like he did in the Bible? Contentious areas when it comes to interpretation of personal laws, which is sought to be treated by the Uniform Civil Code. For example, in terms of inheritance, as per the Quran Sharif, the women are entitled to an inheritance of as compared to men. The Uniform Civil Code tried to make this equality equal. When it comes to marriage, Islam currently accepts the idea of a polygamous marriage. But when the Uniform Civil Code comes into religion, then monogamous relationship will be followed. The concept of waqf is very unique to the Islamic faith. Recently, the government of India tried to do away with the concept of waqf, or not entirely tried to do away with the concept of waqf, tried to amend the existing structure of waqf and its adjudication in our country. Whenever we try to touch upon the religion or the personal laws, there's always a political angle to it. There's always a great deal of politicization attached to it. There's some areas which are very contentious. For example, the question of the places of worship. Now we all know that in our country, the question of places of worship has been attached to a lot of political turmoil. For example, the Ram Janmabhoomi dispute, the Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi dispute. I feel the question of Uniform Civil Code is one which affects the question of diversity in our country. India is a country where there is a lot of diversity of faiths, a lot of diversity of cultures. We have so many religions, and not just the diversity among different religions, even inside different religions, we have so many different sects. For example, Tamil, we have Sunnis, we have Shias, we have Ahmadiyas, and various other sects as well. So there's a difference in opinion on how the personal law should be governed. At this point, it becomes difficult for the government of India to regulate the diversity. Especially when we look at today's scenario where there are interfaith marriages going on. So it becomes difficult for Indian government to look at those issues. We have the Special Marriage Act already in force, which tries to deal with such issues. We have the Indian Succession Act and other special laws dealing with interfaith marriages and other personal law issues. But still, there are various implications attached to it. For example, if somebody chooses to go under the special law, it could have bearing on the religious personal law issues. For example, for a Hindu, it could lead to a difference in the Hindu undivided family status. Then when we come to Islam, somebody converts to Islam, if a Hindu converts to Islam or a Muslim converts to Hinduism, there are different issues in terms of inheritance in the personal law. So to curb those differences in religion and to curb those differences in personal law, I feel that Uniform Civil Code is a very good step which could be taken. The first aspect of the UCC that we will talk about today is marriage. Now, marriage has been seen to take different forms in different religions. For example, in some religions, it is seen to be a sacred, like Hinduism. In other religions, it is viewed to be a contractual relationship between a man and a woman. In some religions, marriage is a monogamous affair, while some religions allow for a polygamous arrangement to be legally valid. The question is, if we allow a UCC to be there in our country, then what form of marriage arrangement should be the best form of arrangement? Now, if we go by the general sentiment, definitely monogamy is the most preferred form of marriage arrangement for UCC. And honestly, even I support monogamous relationships. For the purpose of research, we're going to just analyze the different forms and different ways in which a marriage can be worked out in our UCC. Now, if someone argues that why can't UCC allow for a polygamous affair? I mean, some religions allow for it, but then the question comes about Article 14 of our Indian Constitution. Article 14 talks about equality. So if we allow a polygamous marriage to be there in our constitution, in our UCC, then the implication of that is that we will have to allow women to also enter into polyandrous relationships, which is going to create issues at a larger level. Then another question comes up. Why should marriage be seen as the only way to regulate a legal relationship between a man and a woman? There are other forms of relationships which are coming up today, and for a very large period of time in our society, legitimacy of children has been decided by children born out of wedlock. So if we give legal validity to relationships other than marriage, then that could probably help give legitimacy to children born out of wedlock. A question that comes up is that of same-sex marriage, which has been a center of debate for quite some time. We have seen in our latest marriage equality judgment by the Supreme Court in Supriya versus Union of India, where it was seen that uh, the Supreme Court of India wasn't ready to, at this point, grant rights for same-sex marriage, and it wanted to wait for the legislature to comment over it, to pass a new law in that respect. Important question that arises is related to prenuptial contracts or prenuptial agreements. Now, in our country, currently, prenuptial contracts are void on the basis of public policy. But if a UCC comes into picture, then the question is, should prenups be allowed or not? Personally, as a woman, I don't like the idea of a prenup, to be very honest. But it could be one of the ways to go about viewing marriage in the current UCC as well. In foreign jurisdictions, prenups have been allowed to a certain extent. In India, it has been banned on grounds of public policy. Uh, Looking at the condition of women in India, uh, it would be good to see, it would be interesting to see how the idea of prenup works out, because a lot of women in our country don't have that negotiating power. So, in case a prenup is even signed under the new law, how would it affect, say, a woman later on argues that she didn't have the requisite negotiating power and was forced into a prenup? Then how would that work out at the later stages of adjudication? It would be interesting to see. UCC series is that of divorce. When it comes to divorce, there have been various questions raised to the forms of divorce available under Islam. The most common way is talaq from the husband. There are various types. There are nikah halala, there are nikah, and there are various types of divorce. The second is where the wife divorces the husband, that is the khula. And there's another category where they can be mutual divorce between husband and wife. What should be the grounds for divorce? Up till now, Hindu Marriage Act has not incorporated the ground of irretrievable breakdown of marriage. The UCC contemplates that bringing irretrievable breakdown of marriage would be a great way to go on. The next question is that of alimony. how should alimony be controlled? So, the Islamic faith has a concept where after a period of 3 months, that is the period, the husband can leave the wife, provided that he provides the meher to his wife. There was a very famous case of Muhammad Ahmad versus Shah Banu case, where Supreme Court tried to contest this provision and bring it under Section 125 of the CRPC. But then later on, the Rajiv Gandhi government, they brought in the amendment, Muslim Law Amendment. They brought in the Muslim Law Amendment, which basically did away with the Supreme Court judgment. So it would be interesting to see how it's met, because there's a lot of political pressure involved with bringing in the Uniform Civil Code. The next important question that comes is of inheritance. Inheritance and succession laws have been different in different religions. For example, in the Islamic succession law, there has been a discrimination between men and women. So the question is, who all should be eligible for succession under the UCC? Another important question which is often left untouched in the succession laws is that of legitimacy. So who all should be entitled? Now my view is that any child who is a biological child should be inherit in the property of the father or the mother. This becomes more complicated when it comes to a father and the legitimacy is not yet clear. Now in case there's an adoption, things get even trickier. Adoption is also a very tricky area. I feel adoption should never be allowed for children whose both biological parents are alive. When it comes to inheritance of illegitimate children, I feel that if somebody is a biological child, then they should be allowed to inherit the property of their father under the Uniform Civil Code. About the restitution of conjugal rights. Currently, under the Hindu Marriage Act, Section 9 provides for restitution of conjugal rights. Now, there have been debates that whether or not this provision should be retained or not. What happens when there is the question of recognition of foreign marriages and foreign personal law? Now, there are various Sharia-ruled states, Sharia-ruled countries currently in our world. Especially in the Middle Eastern region, we have countries like Saudi Arabia and other Muslim nations which are currently governed by the Sharia law. So what happens when an Indian couple marries a Muslim couple, an Indian Muslim couple goes to Saudi Arabia or a foreign state where Sharia is practiced and returns in a polygamous affair? So what happens to the validity and recognition of those marriages? The second question which arises is, currently in our country a lot of marriages have already taken place in the past. So what happens to the recognition and validity of those marriages? These are all important personal law questions which would need to be addressed before we frame a uniform civil law.